it takes, I'll bring those containers to where they ought to be. Mr. Speaker, let me set the record straight. And if my good friend, Professor, will listen to me, there's not been any inconsistency. At the transition committee, Honorable Yarga was there. They gave us a figure of 3,000. Then they told us it had incurred demurrage of 1.5 billion. I was sworn into office on the 17th. On the 24th, I visited the harbor. At the harbor, I was told the containers were 2,500. That is what aroused my suspicion. I didn't say at the harbor that the containers are 2,500. I couldn't have counted 2,500 containers instantaneously. And so from 24th, I went to brief the president on 27th. And by 31st, I had established this committee. There was media coverage. And we took Professor Senyo. He's a chartered procurement expert. The report was submitted just this week. It was during the presentation of the report that the committee told me that contrary to the figures they were giving you, over 1,300 containers cannot be accounted for. These are the facts and nothing but the facts. Mr. Speaker, these are the facts. So those who are on social media and trying to play the political game, let me assure you, it will not deter me. Yesterday, when President Mahama called me, his message was simple. Jinapo, you have my full backing, go the full throttle. And that is exactly what we are doing. We've already arrested some Chinese nationals. We are on the trail of some Indian nationals who have bolted. But you know, this is a house of record. And so I'm being very, very cautious. I've received a lot of briefing. And I'm getting to know those who are behind it. This has been going on for years. I will stop that, and it will stop right now. But Mr. Speaker, it's not just going to stop. We shall retrieve the containers of the materials. We shall prosecute the perpetrators, and we will prosecute the perpetrators, and we will sell the rods to recover the cost.
So that is what we have over there. So they are in the process of melting all this.
No, but the immediate thing is to stop every movement now.
And we are going this way.
There are notorious facts on this case that are already public information. The incident under reference, or the whole matter, occurred during the reign of the MPP when they were in government. Since this matter became public, there has been an effort to distort the information and make it appear like a novel development, that's something that has just happened. I am Minister for Government Communication. I am in regular touch with the Minister for Energy, and therefore I am fully aware of the facts. Mr. Speaker, I have the report before me. Mr. Speaker, I have the report before me, and we will tender it in evidence. They are inviting us to reinvent the wheel. They want us to do what we have done already in a bid to obfuscate the real issues, which is that, Mr. Speaker, there is flagrant abuse.
Honorable, be brief.
Yes.
I think we will give the minister the opportunity to
speak.
So be brief.
Mr. Speaker, the reaction of our colleagues suggests that they actually do not want the matter looked into. They don't want the facts to be made public. That is why they are obstructing me. But the point is that the maker of the statement has referenced the existence of an investigation, which investigation has led to a report. On what basis, therefore, has he come to demand another investigation into the investigation? You see, this is a house that is seized with so much activity that we should not be making room for needless replication of things that have already been done. The Minister for Energy has stated publicly that action will be taken on the outcome of the investigations. So I'm surprised that my colleagues on the other side do not want these actions to be taken.
Thank you.
To round up. Again, this is a matter that should be fairly well known to our colleagues on the other side. Because the minority leader, who I'm sure will have a bite, was the chairman of the ECG board. And so these matters are things that he knows about.
You can choose to label whatever you want to label. You can choose to follow the committee's report. You can choose to read from what you are reading. You can choose to play the video from Honorable Afenyomakin. But let me tell you something. Containers getting missing at the port, it will be very mischievous for you to link it to the people at the top.
Why? Really?
I said, yes, because it's not part of the person's day-to-day. But even if so, you want to link it to the person at the top. It is only when, unless I sit here and have you been fully notified that when I heard about the containers being auctioned, I didn't do anything about it. I sat aloof and left it. Well, how would that have been?
Well, you wrote a letter that was not responded to.
Is that my fault?
That's not action enough.
So what do I do?
It's not effort that we're measuring.
So what should I do?
We're measuring
results. If you were me, you said it's a discussion. If you were me, what would you do?
No.
Have you also cited the document where ECG reported the matter to the police? Have you cited that?
You reported the auctioning of the containers to the police. You are just saying it.
I'm asking you, have you cited the letter? There's a letter in circulation similar to that. There's one that I have told you, my brother. You are trying to drag me into responding to this report. All attempts, and if you ask me another question that doesn't pertain to how the containers come out, I'll say you've run out of your questions. Let's have it. Let's call it a good night.
In fact, the more reason why I'm dwelling on the procurement is because that's the heart of the conversation that we're having.
Go and read the Attorney General's opinion on procurement. If you've read the Attorney General and on your Saturday show, Edudi Tamaklo exhausted that conversation.
Well, we had that conversation, and the proposal was that if there's supposed to be now a review of that position, then so be it.
Then they should go ahead. And does the law apply retrospectively? Does the law apply retrospectively? The mischief you are trying to look for, please. Let's halt and let's unify and stop trying to look for names.
You see,
let's unify and try and solve the problem. You can choose to label whatever you want to label. You can choose to follow the committee's report. You can choose to read from what you are reading. You can choose to play the video from Honorable Afenyomakin. But let me tell you something. Containers getting missing at the port, it will be very mischievous for you to link it to the people at the top.
Why? Really?
I said, yes, because it's not part of the person's day-to-day. But even if so, you want to link it to the person at the top. It is only when, unless I sit here and have you been fully notified that when I heard about the containers being auctioned, I didn't do anything about it. I sat aloof and left it. How would that have been?
Well, you wrote it.
$11 million was paid for Pualuku Dam when there was no even sand at the site. Mr. Speaker, I heard the former finance minister saying that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is terminating and that he's a terminator one. Don't worry, you've not seen anything yet. Mr. Speaker, the Pualuku Dam, those who chop that money will be terminated. Mr. Speaker, you see the agenda 111, $400 million. You will account for it. If you don't, termination. Mr. Speaker, you see the most expensive hole that is dug in Accra. Mr. Speaker, you see the cathedral, the most expensive hole in the whole of West Africa. Mr. Speaker, do you know one of the most shameful aspects of that hole? They went to Israel to go and import stone, a huge gravel stone. They carried it, paid money for it to come and put. Are you building voodoo house? Mr. Speaker, That is more than $50 million. Wallahi, termination. We would terminate you if you don't pay that money. Now let me advise you. Those of you who stole money, oral chairman is here, and I am so happy.
He says that there were inconsistencies in my account. Yeah, first of all, so I'm coming to address the inconsistencies. First of all, he says that
he went to Twitter this morning, yes, and he says the mighty minority has been vindicated at last in the suspicious Gran Canaria flights to Ghana. Government spokesperson and Minister of State Felix Kwachiofosu must resign for willfully publishing false evidence to cover crimes. And he is quoting factcheckghana.com, which has made a number of observations and findings, which findings found your statement inconsistent. And I'm going to read the part that is relevant to you. They say that you claimed that Ahmed N823AM went through Luanda in Angola before arriving in Accra. That is not accurate. That did not happen. And you also said that Ahmed N864AM, which allegedly was sent to aid in repairs, only came to Ghana once, when it was actually twice that it came to Ghana.
There's nowhere in my 7-minute video that I said the aircraft that brought the parts and the crew, repair crew, came to Ghana once. Where in that 7-minute video did I say it? And indeed, you can play it to your viewers. And I request that as part of airing this program, you play it so that Intim Fojo shows me why I said that the aircraft came to Ghana once. I never said so. I said when the Ahmed aircraft developed a problem with its tire and landing gear upon landing. I've heard some people say that I've said the aircraft developed a fault in mid-air. That is very ignorant, you understand me? It is mischievous, completely tangential. The aircraft landed safely, and they noticed that there was a problem with this tire. I have put out pictures, and those pictures are absolutely 100% authentic.
The question is, how come you had pictures of
but first of all,
repair works?
But these days, people
say that actually makes it more suspicious.
How is it suspicious?
Like, why do you have pictures of that?
You are here recording me officially. I've seen your crew whip up their phones and take pictures of me. People do it all the time. In what way does it raise suspicion if people are fixing a tire? It is a matter of record. Indeed, there is evidence of this being done. And when the investigation is conducted and Intim Fojo is holding, the airport company can produce evidence of this. I have put it out. The second point I need to stress is that nowhere did I see that when the second aircraft came, it left on 25th. I said the Air Med ambulance developed a fault with this tire. A second aircraft belonging to the same company brought tires and repair crew. And once the aircraft was fixed, it left on 25th. Which aircraft was fixed? Was it not the initial one that came? And so if it is fixed, won't it leave? Instead of what you say that because I have said it, I have said that the second aircraft stayed until 25th. And so I have lied. In any event, how does that even prove that there was drugs on the plane? Which is the substance of the matter. Secondly, he says that, in fact, even the first Havoc flight, 12 BK, never came to Ghana because he has gone to check on flight where. Has he not said so? Now, you recall that it was Intim Fojo who, on the 1st of April, first told Ghanaians that Havoc flight 12 BK had arrived in Ghana. Play that press conference. So he told everybody that the flight arrived in Ghana. Yet he says that a few days later, when he went to check on flight aware, the flight never came to Ghana. So the flight never came. Umaru, let me show you concrete evidence. You see, before any flight comes to Ghana, it seeks permission to land. When the flight gets to Ghana, it undergoes rigorous inspection. I have said that this flight was in Ghana for screening at the Swissport cargo facility
in Accra.
Umaru, I can show you the report generated after Swissport did the screening. RA3. In fact, this was based on a request that Havoc made through their local agent, Tropicana Ghana. They state clearly in their letter.
You are referencing the flight from
the Havoc flight.
Okay.
Tropicana Airlines, which is their local agent, on 11th March 2025, wrote to the Ghana Revenue Authority, Customs Division, requesting that they wanted to use the Swissport NextScan machine to generate the reports on the oil equipment of chartered flights from Angola to Norway and then they state the flight number.
This is dated when?
11th March 2025. 25. And you see that it's minuted on to the appropriate officials.
Okay.
Duly signed and dated. They say this has become very necessary because the Angola scan machine cannot generate the R3 report, which is mandatory in Norway. I said this, and people say, oh, it's not true, and that there's a scan in Angola, so it is not true that they came to do the scan. Meanwhile, Swissport has done the thing, generated the receipt, generated the report. Again, this flight was carrying oil equipment belonging to Schlumberger.
So two flights. So
yes, two flights.
This one for the Ukrainian one.
If you let me land, yes. The oil equipment belonged to Schlumberger. It was an oil drill equipment, together with oil in jerrycans, which are lubricants, actually. There is an airway bill that covers this shipment. And clearly it is stated in the report.
What is the difference between the ordinary thief and a political thief? Number one, the ordinary thief steals your money, your bag, your watch, and your jewelry, isn't it? But the political thief steals your future, your career, your education, your health, and your business. Number two, the hilarious part is that the ordinary thief will choose whom to rob. But you are the one who choose the political thief to rob you. Because we choose them. We vote them. We blindly say we are not blind. Who is deceiving who? The ridiculous part of the whole issue is that we will fight to defend and protect our belongings from the ordinary thief. Is it not? But we fight each other to defend and protect the political thief. Is that not what we do? Thugs will be fighting themselves to protect those that are stealing our career, stealing our joy, stealing our health, stealing our success. What a shame.
Government is broke, government is broke. But people are spending billions to go inside the government that is broke. Have you ever seen a minister who resigned because government is broke before? Government has no money. Have you ever seen a governor who said, ladies and gentlemen, when I was elected, I thought the government had money. Now I discover government has no money, I resign. Have you ever seen it? Government has no money, but they are bringing money out at election time. Where is that money coming from? So they are lying. What is happening is that there are two types of wicked people in government. Type 1, they eat current money. Any money they find in government, they will eat it. They are wicked about that one. There is type 2. Type 2, they eat current money and future money. They will say, my term will end next year. When I leave, how will I eat money? Let me borrow money now and borrow money of the future and eat it now.
Well, good morning. It's always a pleasure coming your way. This is Good Morning Ghana on Metro Television. My name is Audu Moro. Today is the 9th of April, 2025, and this is indeed a day the Lord has made, and in that we are very glad. We're back again to join the nation's conversation, what's happening in our dear country, Ghana. And as usual, I'll kickstart with what the newspapers are reporting on their front pages. I'll start with the Daily Graphic. Daily Graphic this morning says, opioids abuse destroying nation's youth. Renowned psychiatrist sounds alarm. TDC invites Yoko to probe procurement breaches. Ghana Bauxite Company targets 6 million tons production this year. GTEC warns of abuse of honorary degrees. The Ghanaian Times. Ghana Bauxite Company targets 6 million tons of production by year end. President launches Feed Ghana program in Techiman Saturday. Bono Retsec resolves to end conflict between cattle herders, farmers. Digitization of Lands Commission, $165 million required to implement Lands Minister. Ghanaian dyslexia advocate wins Global Champion Award. Daily Guide. Minority petitions diplomatic corps over Airmed flight saga. We will tackle trade barriers, Commonwealth Secretary General. More ECG cables, meters found in Takrady, Kumasi. 7 soldiers remanded over civilian deaths in Kumasi. Ghana Bauxite Company targets 6 million tons by year end. The Insight. Remove EC boss, deputies now. Adam GH petitions President Mahama, cites missing BVD's multiple declaration of results, election violence, others. towards decolonization and self-determination, Shirawi Republic and SADC signed MOU to strengthen political support for the liberation of Western Sahara. Developer accuses Zoom Lion of violent sabotage of $135 million project, but company says claim is false and misleading. Banda family warns public against planned state funeral for late Alhaji Aswa Banda. Oh, yeah. This thing's got to be sorted as quickly as possible. India's largest communist party slams Israel, calls for an end to U.S. blockade in Cuba. The Informer. Purported destruction of properties. Zoom Lion rubbishes alleged ties with Langards. Airport drugs. Cash are concern, not Ajoasafo, MPP. GTEC warns against misuse of honorary titles. National Cathedral Bruhaha. Pratt. Sempua. Fire Minister. OSP collaborates with NCCE to fight corruption. The Inquisitor. Wanton sale of TDC lands under NPP allocatees traced to cemetery. GBC committed to environmental protection mining. Yoko chases corrupt elements at Ridge Hospital. Zoom Lion does not engage land guards. The Herald. Ibrahim Mahama quells fugitive Nigerians' road rage, guns and power play. IGP, ECG boss, first casualties of Mohammed's no post retirement contract directive. Minority runs after diplomatic intervention in Gran Canaria cocaine flight claim. GBC boss, tenure in limbo over missing presidential approval. Yoko sniffs corruption at Ridge Hospital. The publisher, the Ghanaian publisher. Omanhene Hawin registrar charged with stealing. Ghana Bauxite pumps $123 million into expansion drive. Targets 6 million tons of bauxite this year. Zoom Lion refutes Landguard claims. Suspicious flights saga. Minority petitions diplomatic core. Daily Post. President Mahama calls on Czech private sector to explore cooperation with Ghana's economy. No contract approvals without commencement authorization. Finance Minister. Suspicious flight. Intim Fojo's interrogation will be made public. Kwachofosu. Bank of Ghana disowns criminal use of currency boxes, calls for prosecution. The Accra Times. Ghanaians salute Jakba and team for arresting fugitive Nigerian businessman amid allegations of protection by former NPP government. Ayariga is a real gentleman. Apenyo Marking admits. Sampiyale is gone forever. Speaker Bagwin weeps as he pays emotional tribute to a comrade and brother. Show proof, not propaganda. Benjamin Kofi Kwashi. Confucian rocks MPP as party executives shy away from Ajoasafo and seek to hide their incompetence behind alleged drug scandal. The Daily Searchlight. Controversy over funeral of Asuma Banda. China warns of global trade impacts from U.S. tariff policies. 100 exhibitors and 5,000 visitors to attend West African Farmer Health Exhibition. Zoom Lion, we don't engage land guards. Ahmed cocaine scandal, bipartisan parliamentary probe needed. AFAG. Metrolens. Zoom Lion rejects misinformation on land guard activities. Dr. Enes Oforisapon to lecture at Harvard University. GRA surpasses Q1, that's Q1 revenue target, with 41 billion cedis. The Custodian. We don't use land guards in operations. Zoom Lion declares. Culture of silence and brute force under Mahama. 3 journalists arrested in 3 months. Many houses raided. Minority seeks diplomatic assistance in Gran Canaria flight scandal. And the Business and Financial Times. Bank of Ghana pushes for industry-led consolidation to reform SDI sector. $2 billion spent annually on foreign shipping services. That's according to the Chamber of Shipping. Prioritize growth for macroeconomic stability in research agenda. Emma Bully is Board of Trustees Chair, National National Mining Museum project. And CBG appoints Dr. Naomi Kwete as new managing director. So these are the front pages, or these are the stories on the front pages of the newspapers that we have. When we come back, I will let you in on my guest for the show. Please stay with us.
Yes, next. Hey, Nadia Benson,
Me didn't tum. Mr. Femi Kakalika, just call me cockroach. Now, Mr. Femi once now. Hey, that's you. Improve car. Yeah. Captain was key to double the accent. Me did it, Sasso spray. Mr. Femi Sasso quell. Yeah, go to my Sasso. Come on, Tom Preco.
Sometimes the unexpected happens and the hero falls down in his own story. But he needs not stay down for long. Cosmopolitan Health Insurance is your trusted health partner. Whether an individual building a business, with Cosmopolitan Health Insurance, your medical care is our concern. For the best health insurance solutions for corporate institutions, groups and associations, families and individuals, choose Cosmopolitan Health Insurance from our over 700 accredited health service providers nationwide. Call us on 0302 540 668 or 0501 678 547 for all your health insurance solutions. Cosmopolitan Health Insurance, your medical care is our concern.
Look around. Home also need a makeover. Oh, mine clearly does. So we went to Ashroom and found the Como collection. It had everything we're looking for and more. Merchant furniture for the entire home, designed with you in mind.
Where's Como collection? Dressing up is just the breeze. Always ready with a perfect accessory.
A magic dressing mirror. One look and you're ready to face the world. Or at least the kids.
A bed perfect for young men who want
a table that turns into a treasure chest.
And finally, a sofa with this grand TV unit for family time at home.
Head over to any Ashphone store now and discover the new Como collection. Ashphone.
Mommy. Michelle, fe.
Different era, better result. Time has changed and time has brought Kel Charcoal Toothpaste, healthy gums, anti-cavity, fresher breath, and it whitens teeth. Kel chocolate toothpaste. Sankofa.
Yenchi, Kale chocolate toothpaste.
Happy smile.
This advert is FDA approved.
I'm a branch manager. Of course, I accept only quality and affordable printed souvenirs for my promotional campaigns.
I'm the head of academic affairs of a very important institution in Ghana. Of course, we only deal with quality, reliable printing companies for our institution's printing materials. I'm talking about appointed time printing.
Appointed Time Printings. We take pride in our extensive print scope that transform your ideas into captivating visual masterpieces. We delve into the core objectives and vision of each print project. Precision printing is at the heart of our printing process as we meet your tight deadlines. Our rigorous inspection, color verification, and overall printing excellence are assured. 20 years of printing excellence. It's always a pleasure working with you to create a vibrant, dazzling printing experience that gives you a masterpiece. Appointed Time Printing, your world of quality and affordable printing.
Fire pomudi ni agobi Ghana fu ni age if you say ya your local spices na ya frafra dia ya sankofa natural spice me dey go me jollof mu me still ahoduma emanate dance
Charlie, the barbecue the go on.
sankofa natural spices and one you use 100% natural.
Adofo, mamu ye huge mistake. Sankofa natural spices.
Aha, pay right, borehole drilling.
Hey, a Japan reject for Abama and show some dewa. Pay reject a darumanti, if ye be a money shoe, and tis so young crankre, a jumaku, in swan sorry, namupe and should did you may be a dear. Make out for pay reject the amount, and a pay reject, woman quadri our borehole drilling, water purification, any bibiada a fat in shoe, netie, pay reject in Kwane borehole drilling company, or two so mawa, or sound super a brano, ever be sending so netie, and sayo, woman sounds with the Sassu Kokra, a Broswa, ye de babe bo amosika sem piano alcoye. Hey, won't pay when out per day. Would them call them now? Flying, I was 0240 217253 0240 217253. Pay right GH since so young quadia, and ye maunkwa.
Krachi, unemu bua unkoisha Dr. Ban uye denwa.
Oh, Mr. Yamfan come and buru.
Mami go buru. Ni atele be ko bra. Mumi mfani ko Dr. Ban ho.
Dr. Ban o ya de.
Bra, se ba no mpemu adwuma sasabro sro Dr. Ban o ye.
Sai ni kemi kwa na meka. Oh no mpemu nimdi ono na ye expert nya zanfo no. O akra eni kumasi no mpemu expert yen kan kire.
Well, you're still live on Good Morning Ghana on Metro Television, and this show is also live on 94.1 FM, your radio dial. So just in case you want to leave your home, but you also want to monitor and follow keenly the conversation that takes place here, please just tune in to your radio dial 94.1, and you would be able to monitor and follow what we are talking about here on the show. Let me also say that Blue Jeans Energy Drink is proudly associated with the Good Morning Ghana show, and I've always recommended Blue Jeans Energy Drink for you because of the benefits that you get from tasting or drinking this particular product I'm talking about. It's been on the Ghanaian market for over 20 years, and We already know what it does for the body. It contains many vitamins and nutrients like vitamin B2, B3, B6, B12. It has taurine, it has guarana, which are known to boost your strength and energy, as well as strengthen and promote high performance and endurance. Blue Jeans Energy Drink has been tested, it's been tried, and everybody who's tested it or tasted it tells us that it's been great. So do same. It's in shops nationwide. For bulk purchases, contact Budget Cash and Carry on 020-8128-190, 020-8128-190, and 055-001-000, 055-001-000. Now, I have also got some great news for you, those of you who want to celebrate Easter in a grand style. Now, this Easter, all roads will be leading to the Kwapim Ridge for once in a lifetime special Easter experience. So join Metro TV, Original TV, and Original FM as we make whistle stopovers at fun-filled joints such as OPK's, Susie's Place, Superb Lounge, among others, from Ibri, Mampon to Ekropong. It's Easter on a crescendo with jam squads from here, Metro Television, Original TV, and Original FM on the Kwapim Ridge. And I've got some more details which will be coming up in the course of the show this week. My guests are here, and they're already seated. That's Mr. Kwesi Pratt Jr., who is the managing editor of the Insight newspaper. Good morning, sir. Thank you very much for joining us. And also Yves Hansen-Norte, yes. So Yves Hansen-Norte is a former Tema Central member of Parliament. He's also joined us here for, as usual, what promises to be a very interesting and a very thought-provoking conversation. Good morning. My brother, how are you? It's always good to see you.
Yeah, you're looking good as well.
Thank you very much. The last time you joined us was, must have been on 6 March.
6 March, yeah.
Yes, and the history that you shared with us was, I thought, was quite rich. Uncle Kwesi watched us, must have watched us. Yes, it was quite rich.
I'm grateful.
But before we even kickstart our conversation, let me just issue this disclaimer. So yesterday, during our conversation on the Transport Ministry's, ally, which was putting together in order to legalize Okada, there was this banter between the former Myong MP, who is not a deputy GIFEC administrator, Mohamed Abdulaziz, and also the Director of Communications of the MPP, Richard Ahiagba. And in that ensuing banter, he made certain comments about the minority leader and the former Energy Minister, which we feel was quite unfortunate. And we thought it was quite libelous. It was an attack on their personal reputations, because he said that the two of them should be arrested and prosecuted for the missing containers at the Tema port. Of course, upon reflection as a production team, we felt that until there was any factual basis to pinpoint those two persons as having been involved in that scandal, there was no basis to have said that they should be arrested and prosecuted. And so I want to use this occasion, I want to use this platform once again to apologize to the two gentlemen. That's the Honorable Alexander Fenyomake, who is the MP for Efutu and also the minority leader, and also the Energy Minister, Dr. Matthew Poku-Prempeh, for those comments. And we want to dissociate ourselves from that comment. And once again, apologize to the two gentlemen. And we hope that our apology would be accepted. And we are thanking you in advance for accepting that apology. Honorable Alexander Fenyomake and also Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh. So I guess that that should rest this matter. In any case, investigations are still ongoing, so we'll see how that pans out. So I would want us to start our conversation with what's happening with global trade. And I feel, Uncle Kwesi and Yves, that we're not having a serious and perhaps a more thorough conversation about what this actually means for us, Ghana and Ghanaians. Everybody appears to be focusing more on, what is happening and what other countries, how other countries are reacting to this imposition of 10%, and in some cases, higher than that on other countries. I'm talking about America's trade partners. I want us to see whether we can spend some time and look at what this means to us as Ghanaians. Because oftentimes when countries take decisions and those countries are not countries that we feel are closer to us, so it's not Togo, Ivory Coast, Burkina Faso, we tend to feel we are far removed from those decisions. But quite clearly, when America sneezes, everybody catches cold. And quite clearly, Donald Trump has set the world on fire, and he's on rampage, more or less. Now, if you look at today's Herald newspaper, we're told Czech president is condemning U.S. tariffs on Ghana, others as unilateral and harmful. And the story has been captured here. It says President of the Czech Republic, that's Petr Pavel, has strongly criticized the United States for imposing sweeping tariffs on African countries, including Ghana, without prior consultation or negotiation. He describes the move as brutal and unfortunate, calling for a return to multilateral rule-based trade discussions. Speaking during a joint press conference with President John Dramani Mahama at Jubilee House yesterday, Tuesday, April 8, 2025, President Pavel said the tariffs risk harming global economics and disproportionately affecting vulnerable nations. I think imposing tariffs in such a brutal way really doesn't help either side. It will not help the situation in Africa, and it will not help the situation in Europe, Asia, and even the United States, Pavel said. Under a recent policy shift, the United States introduced tariffs ranging from 10% to 50% on imports from dozens of countries. While the White House has argued that the move is aimed at protecting American industry, critics warn that it threatens economic stability in less developed nations. Now, with regards to a number of African and Asian countries, especially those that belong amongst the poorest globally, like Lesotho, Cambodia, and Laos, they are charged by the biggest, tariffs in history. It could be easily destroying their economies. Pavel added. The Czech leader urged a united international response to engage the United States diplomatically. I really think that we have to collectively address the United States to rethink this approach and to negotiate, not destroy countries. Because by damaging their economy so much, it would create a number of problems that will have to be dealt with later on that may prove much more costly, he cautioned. Now, President Mahama also echoed the Czech leader's sentiments, lamenting the undermining of a globally accepted rule-based trading system. We all accepted a rule-based trading system, and it has served the world well because it has led to quite significant growth in GDP across the world. He highlighted the case of Lesotho, which received 46% tariffs, warning of a damaging impact on fragile economies. If you understand that one of the largest contributors to Lesotho's economy is the trade and garments industry, exports, and the agua to the United States, then you can be sure that it's going to affect a small country like Lesotho. We must look at the broader global partnership and the global interest rather than just our parochial national interest. But here in Ghana, there have been some meetings, and the outcome of that meeting has been put out in the press statement. And can we have a look at the statement which was issued by the Foreign Affairs Ministry before I bring in my guest to comment on the matter? So there have been some meetings where the Deputy Trade Minister was in there, the Foreign Affairs Minister was in there, and some other dignitaries, and some discussions took place. And in this statement I'm about to read, good. So here's this, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. This was issued 7th April 2025. The Ambassador of the United States of America, that's Her Excellency Virginia Palmer. Virginia Palmer today honored an invitation from the Minister for Foreign Affairs, Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, to discuss the imposition of 10% tariff by the United States of America on Ghana, effective 5th April 2025. The Deputy Minister for Trade, Agribusiness and Industry, Honorable Samson Ahi, and other officials from his ministry joined the meeting at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The U.S. ambassador indicated that the tariff did not maliciously target Ghana, but was intended to address the significant trade imbalances between the USA and its partners, such as Ghana. The ambassador, however, informed that the tariff is being imposed pursuant to the International Emergency Economic Powers Act of 1977. Now, she further intimated that the 10% tariff imposition exempts some products like oil and gas and energy-related products that Ghana exports to the United States. It emerged that products exported under the African Growth and Opportunities Act, AGWA, initiated are affected. And this is where the problem is. This is, for me, the elephant in the room. The meeting additionally discussed the possible exemption of other sectors, particularly with cocoa and garments. Both sides agreed to work together to mitigate challenges, including potential job losses. The Ministries of Foreign Affairs and Trade, Agribusiness and Industry would continue to engage the USA authorities on how to mitigate and alleviate the effect of the tariff on Ghanaian businesses and the Ghanaian economy generally through bilateral and diplomatic means. Ghana and the USA affirmed their strong and cordial relationship. And this is the end of the statement which was issued by the Foreign Affairs Ministry. Angozi, what do you make of what's happening as far as global trade is concerned?
Well, first of all, I've read the statement issued by the Ghanaian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And to be honest with you, I'm completely shocked.
Why?
80% of the statement, and you can read it yourself, you just read it, is justification for the U.S. action, and more or less here for the U.S.
How so?
Now listen, how is this a Ghana statement?
Yes.
The ambassador indicated that tariff did not maliciously target Ghana, but was intended to address significant trade imbalances between USA and its partners such as Ghana. The ambassador, however, informed that the tariff is being imposed pursuant to International Emergency Economic Powers Act of 1977. She further intimated that the 10% tariff imposition exempts some products like oil and gas and energy, related products that Ghana exports to the United States. It emerged that products exported under the African Growth Opportunity Act initiative are affected. The meeting additionally discussed the possible exemption of other sectors, particularly with cocoa and garments. Both sides agreed to work together to mitigate challenges, including potential job losses and so on and so on. Where is Ghana in this? Where is Ghana's interest? Beyond PR for the US, where is Ghana's interest in this? What, as Ghanaians, we expect to be hearing is how this reckless measure is going to affect us. What products are going to be affected? How much do we realize per annum? What are the measures we are likely to take in order to mitigate the circumstances? Not to restate the PR gimmicks of the US Embassy and US government. That is not what we expect of our foreign ministry. And that's clear. Look, clearly, these measures are being introduced by the Trump administration under the broad banner, broad agenda of making America great again.
Yes.
Where is Ghana in that? And the whole measure is based on false economics. It's based on a total misunderstanding of economics. Look, right now as we speak, the U.S. national debt is estimated about more than $3 trillion. That's the U.S. national debt. U.S. national infrastructure is collapsing. Their bridges are weak. They need to reconstruct them. Their roads are not properly aligned. Their railway system is a joke, and so on. You understand? Many companies operating in the U.S. have migrated. They've gone to China and other places because there are more favorable conditions in those countries for manufacturing than in the U.S. How do you address these problems by imposing tariffs? It doesn't make economic sense. There's no logic in it. It's recklessness in the extreme. And Ghana's reaction is that the ambassador has explained that it doesn't, affect oil and gas, and that it was not malicious. The principles don't work. And we should be able to tell the US that, look, you are misfiring. And that if you take reckless actions in order to bully countries, those countries have a right to respond in equal measure. Then we are told that, Ghana is too weak, so Ghana cannot fight the United States of America. And I'm sitting back and I'm wondering, what is happening to us? When did we lose our sense of sovereignty? Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah said, look, in our fight to retain our sovereignty, maintain our sovereignty, we will take assistance from our friends and so on. But nothing can prevent us or hold us down when it comes to issues of sovereignty and the pursuit of the national interest. That should be the guiding principle. Now, this question of weakness, I don't know where it's coming from. Ghana is a member of the Economic Community of West African States. That's a leverage we have. Ghana is a member of the African Union. That's a leverage we have. Ghana is a member of the non-aligned movement. That's a leverage we have. We have so many, we belong to so many international organizations, and that gives us leverage and weight, dependent on our diplomatic skills, and our ability to sway others like us to go with us. That's strength. The biggest strength perhaps we have is that as we speak now, Ghana is hosting the forward operating base of AFRICOM. Yeah, it's here. I mean, if that is not strength, what else is strength? As we speak, NATO, which includes the United States of America, is asking for permission to establish drone bases in Ghana, La Côte d'Ivoire, and Benin. Is that not strength enough? Ghana's history is strength. Our history is a history of a small country of 32 million people, which led the national liberation struggle in Africa. That's strength. And the fact that we are not affected alone, Botswana is affected so heavily and so on. South Africa is also being bullied, and South Africa is a superpower in Africa. Everybody is being bullied. And then we sit back and say, oh, we are too weak to fight the United States. We are not fighting the United States. We are not asking our government to fight the United States. We are insisting that our government should do the right thing to protect the national interest. Look, the bully does not stop acting. The bully does not stop bullying if he sees that you are cowering. The bully stops misbehaving only if the bully realizes that he has a price to pay for bullying. And we must make it clear that we will make them pay that price if they continue on this tangent. Why? As we speak, the imposition of tariffs is not just on Ghana. It's on a powerful country like China. China is supposed to be the second largest economy in the world. The imposition of tariffs is on even European Union members and so on. So don't let us think that this is just about Ghana and the United States of America. This is an attack on the world trading system. And I'm so happy that President John Mahama Mahama recognizes that. I mean, the statement we just read from him recognizes that this is an attack on the world trading system, which is based on legality and so on. And we should act as such and stop behaving like Danesky, children who have encountered a bully and are running into their mother's arms and so on. That is not the posture we should be taking. The U.S. has attacked us. You understand? The U.S. has launched very vicious attacks on Ghana. And this whole argument that, as for Ghana, they only slap 10% tariffs, the minimum and so on. You see, we should go beyond percentages.
The voodoo formula.
Yeah, it's a very interesting formula. Yeah?
No, we should go beyond percentages. 10% of a million is not the same as 10% of 5.
True.
So we should do a quantitative analysis of what is happening and stop this percentages game which doesn't mean anything. I mean, every secondary school child can play this game of percentages. This is not a sophisticated game. So 10% of what are we talking about? Yes, Botswana has more than 50%, 57% or so. Lesotho has 57% or so.
South Africa and so on.
Yeah. But what is that 50%? What does it represent in terms of impact on the national economy? This is the kind of analysis we want to hear. Not these lame statements, I mean, what is wrong with us? When I read the statement, I was wondering whether this was Ghana's Ministry of Foreign Affairs or it was some banana republic's statement. What is this? The United States has launched an attack on us, a vicious attack on us, which doesn't make economic sense, doesn't make political sense, which takes us for granted, which is intended to bully us into submission, and we must act accordingly. Why? Can you quantify the benefits that the United States of America is getting out of its military base, which is stationed here? that forward operating base? Can you guess? That's a major national security concern for the United States of America. And we should take that into cognizance. America says that it's addressing unfair relationships with other countries in the world. Unfair relationships.
It's addressing trade imbalance.
Unfair relationships.
Unfair relationships.
Bottom line, unfair relationships. Right. My goodness. What is this? The United States of America talking to Ghana about an unfair relationship? History teaches us that from the days of the transatlantic slave trade, we have always been the disadvantaged partner in the relations with the U.S. Why? Hundreds of thousands of our forebears, hundreds of thousands, not just lame people, not sick people, the strongest of our people, our architects, our engineers, our medical practitioners and so on, were captured as beasts of burden, worked to build the accumulation which today makes the United States what it is, for hundreds of years without pay. Who is disadvantaged? Who is disadvantaged? Is it the United States of America which is disadvantaged, or is Ghana which is disadvantaged in that relationship? What kind of talk is this, and what kind of lameness are we exhibiting? I cannot understand this. We must begin now to send strong signals to the United States of America that it cannot take us for granted. That this is Kwame Nkrumah's Ghana. This is a strong base for Pan-Africanism. This is a country which has the necessary international links and therefore has some leverage in negotiations. Now, if you're going to go into negotiations and you start off going into the negotiations by claiming that, oh, we are so weak we can't fight, that is surrender. You are not negotiating anywhere. Because in both bilateral and multilateral negotiations, everybody gives something and everybody takes something. So if you go to the table already with your hands behind you, claiming that you have nothing, you don't have any strength and so on, what are you telling the person you are going to negotiate with, the country you are going to negotiate with? That is surrender. That amounts to surrender and not negotiation. They should stop wasting our years about negotiations.
Yes. There were some countries like China who had attempted to retaliate, but they have signaled America that they will retaliate. Sure. Of course, some countries have chosen the diplomatic path. Let's talk. Let's Georgia and see whether we can resolve this thing.
All the paths are diplomatic. China's part is also diplomatic.
They have rescinded this. Initially, they had
a strong stand.
Yes, they have a strong stance.
Yeah.
And they will retaliate.
And just by virtue of that strong stance that they took, the man then says, I am moving the tariff I had initially imposed on you to now 104. Just because they disagree.
And have you heard China's response?
Yes.
China's response is
yes.
if you go to 104.
Yes. You know, they know how to play the game. I mean, China, they are very good at playing these games, because they know the sort of powers that they wield relative to U.S. Business and so on and so. But how should we approach it? In fact, yesterday, Kojo Nkrumah had granted media some interview on this matter, and he was of the opinion that perhaps we're not dealing with this we're not taking this matter as seriously as we should. He was of the opinion that based on, for instance, what Virginia had said at that meeting with Samson Ahi, who was the Deputy Trade Minister, that look, based on this interaction we've had, it looks like you may have to escalate the conversation to a higher level. Perhaps what she was suggesting was that this had to be dealt with on a president-to-president level, and so of course not everybody who agrees with that approach, but I don't know where you stand on this. First of all, your own thoughts about whether we are having the right conversations about the impact of this on Ghana, and how do you think we should approach this?
Firstly, I want to say good morning to all your viewers. And also my family and extended family.
Okay.
We lost our uncle, Sampi.
Oh, yeah. Interestingly, the last time you were here,
I was there with him. I was here and I sat here. That was the last time I met with him.
Yes.
And we had a conversation.
And he kept referring to us as a nephew.
Yes, I lived with him in India when he was an ambassador.
Oh, you lived with him?
Yes, I lived with him.
In India?
Yes. I lived with him for about 3 months.
Oh, I see.
Yes. It's not that it's a far distance relation.
Close relations.
A Hunter family on my mother's side. So.
Okay. Oh, may he so rest in peace.
May he so rest in peace, yes. And then back to our issues at home. You see, Uncle Kwesi has nailed it right on the head. The world prior to 1995 was a different world, dominated by the West and the USA.
Yeah.
When I say West, Western Europe and the US.
What we call the North Atlantic.
The West, what we call the West.
Yeah.
They had the industrial capacity, they had the industrial minds, they had the industrial power, military might. They were the hegemon of the world. What today forms not part the NATO, the old NATO, and maybe the new NATO. They formed the might of the world economically.
Yeah.
If you look at the goods that were even in our countries, they came from Germany, came from Europe. If you saw a TV, it was a British TV, maybe a Philips, a blender, it was a Kenwood. All these were because they had access to our markets. And that access to our markets had been developed from 1946, from the GATT, the General Agreement on Trade and Tariffs. And out of that, they developed the WTO. The WTO is like a boxing match, where all the players are in the same ring, regardless of size. So many African countries joined the WTO, many Asian countries joined the WTO without capacity. And it meant that these Western governments could send their products into our markets. Our markets were at their mercy. But countries like China and in Africa, Ethiopia, refused to join WTO in 1995. They said, no, we cannot go and fight in the same boxing ring with heavyweights when we are welterweights and featherweights.
It's skewed.
Yes. So let us take our time and then we will join the fight. So China waited and joined in 2001. WTO was set up in 1995, I think. The rules were simple. They had what they called MFN, Most Favored Nation Principle. And then we had what they call national treatment, which means that you treat all other goods in your market, whether foreign or local, the same. So these were the principles that underpinned the global trading system. And when you go to WTO negotiations, it is a face-to-face, country by country. We had cases where African countries didn't even have technical capacity. No technical capacity. So when they go, the minister and his team are going shopping. And then their other colleagues from the other countries were putting in the tariffs on their behalf. There's so many stories around that we've all learned from in the university. So we got to know that these were the things that took place. And most African countries became so disadvantaged in their tariff negotiations that we got to a point we had to go and hide behind other countries like India. If today India brings us half of our pharmaceuticals, it's because they fought the US patent for IP rights at the WTO level. And that is why we are buying all our medications from India.
Yeah.
Because they got the rights to use them for generics, which makes them cheaper, and we are able to use them. So it has a direct effect on everybody. And the WTO rules were set up so that we would all benefit from it, according to the West. What the Chinese did was to wait, build their capacity, and then they joined in 2001. When they joined in 2001, their biggest advantage at that time was cheap labor. So they had very, 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 very cheap labor. When the Americans realized that they couldn't fight them on that level, then they gave us AGOA.
Yeah.
That, oh, Africa, take AGOA. AGOA will help you the next 25 years. Be developing all these small, manual industrialization, this low-level, low-skilled garments, industries, all the things that we try to, and that's when Kufuor tried to do the special initiatives in garments and all those things, just to be able to develop that export sector.
Yeah.
What the Africans did was to destroy their own business people and now invite Chinese. So when you go to a place like Mauritius, the garment industry there is owned by Chinese. When you go to Ethiopia, the SEZ zones there, the garment industries are owned by the Chinese. So if you're in Trump's shoe, and I've given Africa that opportunity to help me battle my opponent, who I know I couldn't fight at that level, and you allow your opponent to come into your home and fight me, what will you do? That's the thinking. That's the rationale behind what Trump is doing. So he says, then let me take the AGOA away, because the AGOA is not benefiting the Africans directly. The Africans, the Chinese are now in Africa fulfilling the AGOA program.
So hold
That's
on.
number one.
What you're saying is that, before you go ahead, what you're saying is that this is just not an issue of slapping tariffs on
No.
countries. There's also a geopolitical war.
Yes.
Really?
Yes, even Mexico. Why did he slap tariffs on Mexico? Because the Chinese have moved their industries into Mexico so that they can have access to the U.S. market. So when he says he's going after Mexico, that is the reason. It's got nothing to do with Mexico being a country next to it. No, it's because today Mexico has a large Chinese industrial base whose target is the United States market. So if you look at the tariffs, all those with large exports into the US got large responses.
Yes.
Bangladesh. Because all the garment industries in Bangladesh, although many are today owned by the local Bengali people, were originally Chinese investments.
Yeah.
Vietnam is Chinese investments. That's there. So it is a trade war being fought by two big elephants, and we, the grass, are suffering.
Yeah.
We've
been caught in the crossfire.
Yes. So that is what has actually happened. So what Trump has done, as Sam Kwesi said, is to, in fact, declare war on everybody, the whole world. Every country is facing some bullets from the U.S.
Yeah, but
his hope is that it would make exports into the U.S. expensive, so that U.S. manufacturing would grow. Because he also needs to employ his people.
Yes.
What he's forgetting is that the low level, the rate at which, the low cost of labor in these other third world countries are not what you have in the U.S. You cannot make a Nike shoe in the U.S. for $30. It's not possible.
Yeah.
But you can make it in Vietnam because the person is being paid maybe $3 an hour.
Yeah.
Maybe in Ghana, $10 a day.
So talking labor costs.
Yes. So for me, that's where I see that there's a problem with this. Number two, he's upending all that we have all agreed to for the last. It's like kids playing football together, and then you change the rules. You know,
In the middle of the game.
In the middle of the game, because you are losing the match. These rules were all set by the U.S. and they were forced on all our necks. And our people took it. Hook, like sinker. Hook, line, and sinker. We took them. Today, China is giving them the same dose of their own medicine that they gave us. And now they are saying that, no, let's change the rules. We cannot go by these same rules again. Just as Uncle Kwesi said, we have to fight this together. We shouldn't even look at it from an African perspective only. Africa and the South must fight this thing together. Otherwise, we are going back to pre-1946, 1945, where the U.S. had a protectionist approach to their economy. The only reason why...
Why do I have a feeling from everything you've said that it looks like history is unfolding right here in our eyes?
Yes.
Is that what you're suggesting?
Every major conflict in the world in the last maybe 100 years or 150 years was because of this.
Right.
Was because of trade and access to markets.
Yeah.
So it is a very dangerous time that we have to navigate sensibly. You know, we have to really navigate well. If you look at the history of Second World War, it was the same. The Japanese lost access to South Asia. The Americans went into the Philippines. The Japanese lost access to rubber and tin and all those industrial materials that they needed for industrialization. And that was the end of it. And then they decided to go to fight and stop the Americans from expanding into their backyard. At that time, China wasn't what it is today. China was even, Japan had just colonized China, had colonized all that small area. So, and parts of South Korea. So these are, it's like history is repeating itself.
Yeah.
But we have knowledge of history, and we can mitigate it or prevent it from happening again. Because the Chinese are not, even Trump went ahead to say that he wants Greenland. Why? It's all geopolitics. Because they are rare earth minerals. Today's trade issues has got nothing to do with steel and cocoa, and no. It's got to do with rare materials, minerals. The lithiums, the things we need for the new economy, the new digital economy. Things that we need for solar paneling and electric cars and electronics and all that. So those are the things that they are fighting. Even whilst they are putting tariffs on all of us, the U.S. is even negotiating with the country, DRC, that, okay, you know what, I'll help you get peace for minerals.
Yeah.
It's on the table. So you should understand what is happening globally. And Africa's chance, I also see that as an opportunity for Africa. It's a chance for us to put our heads together and develop our own market. We have a market of almost 1 point something billion.
Yeah.
In the next 30 years or 20 years, we'll be the youngest population of the world, and almost 2/3 of the world, 25% of the world's population. So what else do we need? What we need is leadership to put us together, to bring our markets together, create a bigger market where it is possible for you to trade internally. Because if I'm producing food in Ghana and I'm producing it for 30 million people, my unit cost may be high. But if I'm producing food in Ghana and my target is a population of 2 billion, then my unit cost may be low, because instead of producing 1 million bottles of water, I'll produce 100 million bottles of water, and my unit cost will be low, because there's a market of 1 billion people. That is if you can even get, that's 5% of the market. So the opportunity is there.
Isn't that why AFTA has been set up? So
AFTA, until recently, we didn't have the big players in Nigeria and Egypt. Now they are in.
Yes.
But you see, it's a positive step.
Yes.
I believe that's a positive step. But even now, we have it makes more sense to deepen the institutions of AFTA.
Okay.
To make sure that the electronic payments, the things that we have put together, the PAP systems, and all those things, I mean, they are known to people like you and I. They are not known to the rest of our people. Our people are still carrying money across the border, still carrying CFA across the border. And these are some basic things. For the last 40 years, ECOWAS has been trying to ease the movement of people. Just try and cross the border to Togo. It becomes an impossibility. Just Togo, Lomé. Meanwhile, the Lomé and Aflao, they are the same people. It's one town. One town. Yet it's so difficult to cross that border.
Laissez-passer.
Even sometimes to travel within Africa, if you want to go to a place like Malabo, sometimes you have to go to Europe, go all the way to Spain, and then take another aircraft from there, transit from there, and come back to Africa. So there are challenges, but I see them also as opportunities that Africans must take advantage of the fluidity and the fluid nature of what is happening now, and grow. Grow our own manufacturing base, grow our own market, just like the Chinese did, so that when we go to the table the next time, we have the capacity to negotiate and negotiate well. Yes, we are a sovereign state, but we don't have the capacity to even go and sit and have a conversation. I saw what Trump did to the Ukrainian president like a month ago. He does the same thing to our president when they go to see him. It's just that he doesn't come out in public.
Yeah, he embarrassed him.
He told him off, sit here, don't do this, don't speak. It's the same thing that happens to our leaders. They come back and then they come and pretend as if they went for some important meeting and came back. They become non-entities when they are there. That is the reality. So we have to build our capacity and then now go to the table and negotiate. But we cannot fight this on our own. That one, I'm certain, and I agree with Uncle Casey. We just can't fight it on our own. That South-South cooperation that we have had in the past must be revived. The non-aligned movements that we have had in the past must be revived. And then go to the table. Because what they are trying to do is to divide and conquer. What the US is doing is, we'll pick some, you give him some preferential treatments, and you give you something back. Okay, Ghana, give me space for my drone base. If you agree, he'll give you some preferential treatment. What are we exporting to the US? Gary, yam. I mean, what is the value?
I can't hear.
What is the value? Yes. Look at the list of the things we call non-traditional exports. What is the value? Meanwhile, people are fighting to export billions of dollars. They are fighting to export, even if it was cocoa, $1 billion worth of cocoa. What is the value of $1 billion? When one company in Vietnam is exporting over $35 billion worth of goods. So when they go and sit at the table, who will matter? So we really have to take this bull by the horn and start the conversation internally, solve the problems internally, so that we can also go out there and negotiate better for ourselves. No wonder our foreign ministry wrote this letter.
You also find something wrong with the letter?
What are we fighting for? I mean, what's the letter supposed to do? The letter, we were expecting that to spell out our national interest. Where's our national interest?
And not just simply capture what happened.
No. This one is news. We all know this. Everybody knows this. You know this. This is what the woman said. So you are re-echoing what the woman has said. That is all. According to Her Excellency Palmer today, honored the invitation, and then it flows from there. But you should be telling us something about our own national interest. What is Ghana's interest in all this? Okay, Are we going to allow the drone base to come in? Are we going to allow A or B or C? What will be the implication for our relations with our neighbors? What will be the implication for our neighbors with AES and our relations with AES or our relations with the rest of Africa? How will they perceive us? That's what they're looking for. So the US has a strategy. We should also have a strategy.
We are applying diplomacy. We are applying diplomacy.
We don't
want to go and flex muscle.
Nobody is fighting.
We are weak.
See, the people who can fight are the Chinese and co.
Yes.
Not us.
Yes.
We are not in that business.
Yes.
So they are not asking. I mean, after war, yes, there's reconstruction, money will be made and all that, but that is not the aim of this because we make more money when we work together.
Yes.
So the Chinese are not. It might even affect the Chinese more if there's a war, because for them the US is their market, and the value of the US market is because the people consume.
Yeah.
They're a big consumer.
It's a big market.
No, it's a big consumer base for the world.
Yes.
One. Number two, their currency is now the currency of the hegemon. Let me put it that way. So it's their currency, the currency for trade. And even that one, it's changing because the Chinese are now are trying to push for us to use their yuan to trade in Chinese goods. The US is saying no. BRICS is also trying to develop a currency. So it's a very fluid time in the history of the world. And for me, I'm happy that I'm witnessing it. Apart from witnessing it, we should also find a way of, influencing it so that it turns out positively for Africa and not that Africa loses out again after over 200 years of 400 years of slavery and 100 years of colonialism. We become, we tie ourselves down for another 100 years or 200 years. The effect of some of these WTO rules that the US imposed on us is the collapse of our poultry industry. It was the collapse of our food industry, our tomatoes. If you take a plate of food in Ghana today, everything is foreign. The vegetable oil comes from Indonesia or Malaysia. The fried oil, we only bottle them here. It comes from Indonesia or Malaysia. Meanwhile, they took the palm from us to go and grow there. The chicken comes from Brazil. The rice comes from Vietnam and Thailand. The tomato paste comes from China and packaged here or Germany or in Europe. That is it. And it is an effect of the WTO rules because when you say national treatment, it says you treat your foreign goods in your economy just as you treat your own Ghanaian goods. And there's another one called MFN, which means that you would treat your neighbor's goods the same way you treat yours. Yeah. So with these two rules alone, the US flooded our market. The chicken, the Tyson chicken, it comes from the US. The seeds that we even use for our plant agro industry, the nascent one here, comes from the US. And it's all under the rules. So we really, I also see it as an opportunity for us, if they want to upend the rules, let's all upend it. And then go back to the drawing board and realign ourselves well. But this time with the knowledge and the history of what has transpired in the last 30 years under WTO. And then we all move forward. I think that would be my...
Okay, see.
Boss,
senior.
I must thank you for this most brilliant submission. No, I mean, I'm quite honest about it.
Very enlightening, to be honest.
I'm grateful.
And to be honest, if somebody had told me that you would do this presentation, I would have doubted giving you a political colorization and so on. But it's a very brilliant submission.
I'm grateful.
And I must salute you for that. Massa, what is Trump doing? Let us reduce it to the barest minimum. You see, if you don't produce enough, you can't sell enough. And if you can't sell enough, there will be a deficit, a trade deficit between you and your trading partners. Now, Trump is saying that we are not producing enough, and therefore we are not selling enough. For us as the United States of America, the way to do it is to increase the prices of our imports, so that the industry which has moved out of the United States of America can come back to the United States of America, create employment, and so on, enable us to produce enough so that we can become competitive.
So you can avoid paying the tariffs.
So that we can become competitive.
Yes.
This is what Trump is doing. In any case, if you look at the U.S. economy today as it is, look, this is just fiction. This is an Alice in Wonderland story. There is no way that companies which have departed the United States of America and gone to China, Taiwan and other places can come back, at least not for the next 25 years.
Yes.
Not for the next 25 years. You understand? One, because the basic infrastructure in the United States is rotten. The U.S. needs to reconstruct its infrastructure completely. That's one. Cost of production in the U.S. is so heavy, so high, that no business person with any gray matter in the head, would want to use the U.S. as a production base. So these are internal problems of the United States of America that Trump is intending to export. What Trump is just doing is that he's exporting America's problems
to everybody.
To everybody.
Yeah.
You bear the brunt of our problems. And hey, we'll make America great again. It doesn't work that way. And it's important to note that economists in the United States of America, and some of them absolutely right-wing and so on, have come to say that this is not going to work. We are punishing the world for nothing. Now, what should be Ghana's reaction? What should be Ghana's reaction? Look, Africa has 60%, not 10, not 20, 60% of the world's arable lands. That's a major asset when it comes to food production, agriculture. 60% of the world's arable land is in Africa. Our weather conditions, we don't have winter. For most of Africa, we don't have winter, we don't have autumn, we don't have any of those funny seasons.
All year round.
We can farm all year round and so on. So this is the time we expect our leadership to sit down within the framework of the African Union to plan, to think, and to take advantage of the opportunities available to us in order to grow and to trade with ourselves and so on. This is the solution.
Right.
The solution is not going to meet with the U.S. ambassador and come and tell us why the U.S. did it. Everybody knows why the U.S. did it. In any case, why is the U.S. exempting oil and gas?
Because that's in their interest. That's what they need.
Because they're pursuing their interest.
Yeah.
You understand? You know what Canada did? Canada did something which is most brilliant. Canada supplies electricity to cities like New York, New Jersey, Minneapolis, and so on. Canada says that if Trump doesn't stop what he's doing, it has imposed tariffs on electricity exports to the U.S.
Right.
You understand? Which is going to make electricity more expensive for people who live in New York and about 5 other cities and so on. And Canada has warned that if the U.S. continues to escalate, it will cut off power supply to major cities in the United States.
So they said we're going to cut off access to Alaska.
Exactly. They're going to cut it off.
Yeah.
You understand? Now, you have to understand the mentality of Donald Trump. This is the guy who becomes president and declares that the Panama Canal now belongs to the United States of America.
Yes.
The guy becomes president and he says, I'm taking over Greenland. I'm buying Greenland. He's buying Greenland. He becomes president and he says, well, I want to buy the whole of the Gaza Strip
and
take out 2.5 million people so that I can build hotels and restaurants and casinos in the Gaza Strip. There's a guy who becomes president and he says, listen, I want Canada as the 51st state
of America.
In the United States of America and so on. How do you deal with a guy like this? You deal with a guy like this by inviting his representative in Accra to a meeting to repeat his gibberish. I don't understand what is happening.
Yeah.
So it is time for us to adopt a multilateral approach.
Yeah.
And that multilateral approach ought to be Africa-centered. It ought to be within the remit of Pan-Africanism as defined by the Manchester Conference in 1945.
Yeah.
That's the way to move. You understand? We've got to come back and sit down and look at what opportunities are available to us in order to overcome this. And one of the biggest opportunities available to us is the Belt and Road Initiative from China.
Yes.
The Belt and Road Initiative from China. In fact, it has far-reaching consequences for economic development than AGWA. What is AGWA? Compared to the Belt and Road Initiative from China.
Okay.
You understand? What are we going to do with BRICS? I have many problems with BRICS. Let me be honest with you, I have many problems with BRICS. I mean, a lot of the things that BRICS is doing don't make sense. You understand? But then we can work with the BRICS countries in order to reshape BRICS to serve our interests. And one of the things that I think doesn't make sense about BRICS is simply the fact that now, if you want a facility from the BRICS facility, BRICS Bank, if you want a facility from the BRICS Bank, you need an IMF approval. It doesn't make sense. We are running away from the IMF because the IMF has become inimical to our development. The BRICS establishes a bank which is supposed to operate as an alternative to the IMF, which we believe should have operated as an alternative to the IMF, and we are told that to get a facility from the BRICS Bank, you need to seek approval from IMF. It doesn't make sense at all. So this is what we need to be working with countries like Russia, like South Africa, like Brazil, and so on, to reshape. This is the way forward. The way forward is not to go and lie in front of the U.S. ambassador like whatever, and repeat U.S. propaganda. The way forward is to put on our thinking caps, think outside the box, and prepare for this major war. The war has already been unleashed.
Thank you.
A major war has been unleashed on the world by Donald Trump for the express purpose of making America great again.
Right.
And you see, sometimes we get taken in by all kinds of slogans and myths about the United States of America. This whole thing about democracy and so on. Who in the United States of America, White House or where, cares about that? I went on a trip to the United States of America, south of the United States of America, and I visited an Indian reservation.
Yeah.
An Indian reservation called Mikusuku. Now, if you go to Mikusuku, and anybody tells you about democratic rights in the United States of America and so on, you just wonder. Mikusuku is an Indian reservation. Indeed, in raw language, it is a zoo. Where they keep Indians.
Oh, you've been there?
Yeah.
I know. That's how they keep. I mean, they did the same thing in Australia.
It's a zoo. Mikusuku is a zoo.
All the
Indians
are
are kept in a zoo.
The indigenous people. The indigenous people. When you say Indians, people think it's Indians from South Asia.
Yeah.
The indigenous people of America. They kept all the reservations.
So like red Indians.
Yes. They give them alcohol. They give them gambling, and that's it.
Really?
They give them, yes, a full
tourists. It has become a tourist site where tourists are told that they are going to see Indians in their natural environment. The same language you use to describe monkeys in zoos. And then this country turns around and is giving us lectures about human rights when it is keeping Mikusuku. I mean, unbelievable. Look at the situation in the Guantanamo Bay. Guantanamo Bay, look at the conditions there. And this country is telling us about its commitment to human rights and so on. Abu Ghraib prison and so on. And we are lying down, they are walking all over us and kicking us left, right, and center. And then we go and issue this statement. Somehow, maybe I think it's the normal procedure, which is fine. It is unsigned, there's no name to it, there's no office to it, so you can't tell. It is even possible that the minister himself may have problems with this. You understand? This may be a DEX officer. Yes, this may be the statement from a DEX officer. And that is why I'm going to go very soft on the political leaders of the ministry. But this statement is a useless statement. Absolutely useless statement which does not protect our interests, which does not even identify our interests. This is lying down for Uncle Trump to walk all over us.
So Kwame Sapong Asedu, who's a regular viewer of the show, Kwame Sapong, he's a CDD fellow. Yeah. He has very interesting views to share on this matter. And he says that though African countries cannot retaliate against the tariffs imposed by Trump, the situation presents opportunities. The Chinese strategy is to retaliate and open up other trade channels through BRICS. Should this happen and the new trade route with Southeast Asia and China become the center, this will hurt the USA. This is a revisit to the 1930s recession. India did it with their patent fight with the USA and the European Union, and by COVID, we're dominating the global pharmaceutical sector. We must learn from India and focus on after. We need to be smart. This won't hurt us much if we think collectively. And that's from Kwame Sapwasedu of CDD. And this one too says, Bo Bachman says, since Trump's tariff policy, and Bo Bachman is one of the strategists for Alad Chairmanting, the movement for change. He says, since Trump's tariff policy is universal and largely non-negotiable, Africa and Ghana in particular must shift its focus to reducing production costs in the export sector to enhance competitiveness. Now, even before the imposition of the tariff, many export companies were already struggling to be competitive due to high production costs. We must also diversify our export market, strengthen the AFTA, and fully leverage its potential and place greater emphasis on value addition. What Trump has done should be a wake-up call to Africa to rethink God bless Africa. And Alhaji Hamza says that, good morning, my brother. In fact, writing to the diplomatic missions about the issues of drugs and money laundering without, we haven't even talked about that yet. So there are some other messages that have come through, but those ones are not related to this. So what we'll do is that we'll take a breather, and then we'll come back and look at some other issues that have been, of course, of national interest as well. So you're watching Good Morning Ghana on Metro Television. This program is also live on 94.1 FM. That's on your radio dial, just in case you're not able to watch us on TV because you're busy and you have to move out of the house. But with me here is, yes, you see, that's you. The day the two of you appeared on the show. Yes, and Piali. You know, what a man, what a personality. You know, it's sad. It's sad. He was a soldier. You know, a soldier. Anyway, they so continue to rest in peace. Yes.
I think he tried to become a fashionista.
You're right. He tried to become a fashionista. Yes. Anyway, so
we will miss him.
We will miss him. He was a good man. He was a very, very good man. Very passionate about this country, You know. Anyway, so we'll take a little breather. When we come back, we will continue with our conversation on some other issues that are happening in our country, Ghana.
Stronger, keep your mouth fresh all day, and best of all, I'm strawberry flavored. So put on a smile and try me.
That's amazing.
Just try me. That's my job.
If you say so, jump on my brush. Makes your teeth stronger, chicky whiter, chicky stronger. Yay! You did it!
I'm glad you like your new toothpaste. Don't forget to brush both day and night.
Kel Kids, happy smile.
Who are you? Who are you? Charlie, I'll be you from the future. Who doesn't sleep on that slice of bready poor mattress anymore? Get on some slippers, then follow me. It is part of the mattress we did the front there. Yeah? That'll be the mattress where the jet put. Wait, what are you doing? Wow! No damage at all. Not only durable, but also super comfortable. Come on, try it.
Nothing day like Ash Foam. Enjoy full body support and unparalleled comfort for a restful sleep.
Don't forget your keys.
Get the premium sleep experience with mattresses from Ashfoam. Visit any of our showrooms nationwide or at ashfoam.com.
I'm a brand manager. Of course, I accept only quality and affordable printed souvenirs for my promotional campaigns.
I'm the head of academic affairs of a very important institution in Ghana. Of course, we only deal with quality, reliable printing companies for our institution's printing materials. I'm talking about appointed time printing.
Appointed Time Printings. We take pride in our extensive print scope that transform your ideas into captivating visual masterpieces. We delve into the core objectives and vision of each print project. Precision printing is at the heart of our printing process as we meet your tight deadlines. Our rigorous inspection, color verification are assured. 20 years. Always a pleasure to create a vibrant, dazzling printing experience that gives you a masterpiece. Appointed Time Printing, your world of quality and affordable printing.
Mommy!
Michelle say, fe.
Different era, better result. Time has changed and time has brought Kel Chocolate Toothpaste, healthy gums, anti-cavity, fresher breath, and it whitens teeth. Kel Chocolate Toothpaste, Sankofa.
Yenchi, Kel Chocolate Toothpaste.
Happy smile.
This advert is FDA approved.
All farmers, are you ready to take your crops to the next level? Introducing 3 effective organic composts that will revolutionize your farming practices. ACAP, KCAP, and Iricop brings to you the ultimate solution for your fertilizer needs. Introducing the ACAP Grade A, KCAP Equiafua Jinkwa, and the Iricop with cocoa blend, palm blend, and mulch. These are made from locally sourced municipal solid waste, and these are the perfect choice for sustainable farming. Join the organic revolution today. Boost your crop yield, improve soil health, and support sustainable farming practices. Choose ACAP, KCAP, and Iricop organic compost for a greener and bountiful harvest. For your purchase and more information, call the numbers on your screen. Our products are endorsed by COCOBOD, Planting for Food and Jobs, and the Ministry of Food and Agriculture.
All right, you're still live on Good Morning Ghana on Metro Television. I'm here with Mr. Kwesi Pratt Jr. of the Insight newspaper, also Yves Hansen-Norte, who is a former Tema Central Member of Parliament. And we're having a very interesting conversation about Trump's tariff and how that appears to be changing the global trade order. And there have been something very interesting insights that have been shared by the two my guest today, and it's blew me off. But I don't know, Yves, you said something that you appeared to have wanted to say something briefly before we took that break. Otherwise, I want us to move to a different topic.
I was saying that the U.S. is like a dying lion.
Yeah.
You know, Kwesi was saying that was the end of empire, and I'm saying that it's like a dying lion, and it's as dangerous as a live one, or it can even be more dangerous, you know. So we have to tread cautiously on this path as things unfold and as the world changes, and there's a new hegemon on the block, new kid on the block.
Yeah. All right. So back home, of course, we're still home, but when I say back home, this has nothing to do with Trump, but everything to do with a sitting member of parliament for Asin South. I'm talking about Reverend Itin Fodro, who from the 1st of April, has been making some allegations. And those allegations stem from, in fact, interestingly, he made those allegations here on Good Morning Ghana for the first time. But we didn't quite follow because we didn't really get we asked him for some more better and further particulars. And we didn't quite get that, so we didn't follow up on that. But since then, he's been on other media platforms to talk about the same thing. We've heard the response from government. First of all, it was the president who asked that, first of all, the president responded and told us how important he took the allegations by the member of parliament and asked that the security agencies, invite him for some cooperation so that we can delve into this matter. And then a day after, the information minister, I call him information minister basically, Minister of State in charge of government communication, also the spokesperson for the president, Felix Kwachu-Fosu, he then came out to basically set the record straight on the matter and said as far as their checks were concerned, nothing, absolutely nothing that the member of parliament has said was true, was factually accurate. And then he went ahead to tell us exactly what happened with the 2 aircraft that had landed at the Kotoka International Airport. But of course, since then, there have been some twists and turns. We've seen also statements that were issued by the member of parliament asking for the Defense and Interior Committee to invite the security agencies to come for some kind of talks and to look into the matter and investigate. And then we had James Gallagher, who's the chairman of the committee, saying that, no, first of all, it doesn't lie in your mouth to call for this. In any case, Parliament is on recess. And so when Parliament, is back, we'll look into the matter. And then Tim Forjo says, no, this is a way of gagging, the securities, the security agencies from talking. But that has also sort of developed into other things, where now we're talking about whether indeed what Felix Ofosu-Kwakye said represented the total, the absolute truth or not. And Felix Ofosu-Kwakye has also responded to that. It has now escalated, where Samuel Abu-Jinapor, who is now a ranking member of the Foreign Affairs Committee, has said he wants the diplomatic community to come into this for us to unravel the mystery behind all of this. But in all of this, we still do not have any proof or evidence that these 2 aircrafts we're talking about had actually ferried cocaine and money into this country. And that is where we are now. And we still can't seem to see the head and tail of this matter. But if you look at the Daily Statesman of today, it says minority petitions diplomatic community over alleged cocaine flights to Ghana. And the story is on page 2. And it says the minority caucus in parliament has formally petitioned the diplomatic community in Ghana to take interest in the ongoing alleged cocaine and illicit money saga linked to suspicious flights from Gran Canaria, Spain, to Kotoka International Airport. In a letter signed by the ranking member on the Foreign Affairs Committee and member of parliament for Damango, Samuel Abu-Jinapor, and addressed to the Dean of the Diplomatic Corps in Ghana and the Lebanese ambassador to Ghana, that's Maher Khair, the minority caucus requested the diplomatic community to take interest in the matter and share intelligence with the Ghanaian security agencies to investigate the matter. And the minority caucus said Ghana is party to several international treaties and conventions which impose an obligation on the country to fight transactional organized crimes such as illicit drug trade and money laundering. These treaties include the Single Convention on Narcotics Drug 1961, as amended by the 1972 Protocol, the Convention on Psychotropic Substances 1971, the UN Convention Against Illicit Traffic on Narcotics, Drugs, and Psychotropic Substances 1988, the Vienna Convention, the UN Convention Against Transnational Organized Crime 2000. The caucus noted that Ghana had, in the past few years, adopted legislative, regulatory, and administrative measures necessary to curb illicit traffic of drugs and money laundering, including the enactment of Narcotics Control Commission Act 2020, which is Act 1019, and the Anti-Money Laundering Act 2020, Act 1044. They expressed concern that Ghana risks becoming a transit point for illicit drugs and money if those matters were not properly investigated. Such a situation, they noted, could have serious political, economic, and diplomatic implications for countries in the West African region. The caucus stressed that it has only through investigations that we can establish the veracity or otherwise of such allegations and, where appropriate, prosecute offenders to serve as deterrent to others, as well as gather credible intelligence to prevent future crimes. They therefore called on the diplomatic community to use diplomatic channels to intervene in the matter. Specifically, the caucus requested the diplomatic community to share intelligence with the Ghanaian security authorities on the aircraft concerned, facilitates the deployment of security apparatus of their respective countries to collaborate with the Ghanaian security authorities in any future investigations. They also want them to assist the Ghanaian state through her arms of government, generally and parliament in particular, to avoid the undesirable, unenvious, and dangerous reputation of drug state. The caucus also called on the diplomatic community to use diplomatic channels to get government to establish a commission of inquiry to conduct full and impartial inquiry into the matter, as well as seek the protection of members of parliament who serve as whistleblowers in matters of this nature. So as far as the minority is concerned, he's only a whistleblower. So any attempt to want to arrest him, or yes, to arrest him by, because as we speak, the NIB, National Investigative Bureau, has written to the Speaker of Parliament for him to be released so that he can cooperate and collaborate with the securities, with the NIB specifically, to get to the bottom of this. But of course, we've also heard the Minister of State in charge of government communications say that deceit of a public officer in itself is a crime, which is a fact. And so Reverend Ntimfo must be careful that he's not charged on that offense and prosecuted subsequently. Uncle, I'm sure you've been following this matter with Rat. In fact, I've heard you comment on it on some other platform. So let me pick your thought here. Good morning, Ghana.
I mean, so this whole drama is assuming bizarre proportions. Completely bizarre. This is the minority, so-called, who says that we want more information. And they are not able to tell us what is that more information that they want. Because as far as we know, the cargo on board the aircraft has been disclosed. Government, its agencies have stated what the cargo on board was. So are they looking for a description of the cargo on board? It's been provided already. They have provided dates of arrival of the aircraft. They have provided us with the duration of stay of the aircraft. They provided us with reports of customs inspection. You understand? They provided us with details about the ownership of the aircraft. They provided us with details of the permission to land and so on. So what more information are they looking for? They should tell us. Is there some information which has not been provided, which they need now? They should tell us. Because I don't know what they're talking about. Most of the times, when they are pushed to the wall, especially Reverend Ntimfo, what he says is that, well, I have suspicions. Since when did we begin to run nations on the basis of individual suspicions? What is suspicion? Suspicions have no empirical basis. And you want us to go on a tangent because you have suspicions. Suspicions. Based on nothing, just suspicion. I mean, it's incredible the way we are taking, how far we are taking this country. And some of this unnecessary, complete rigmarole that takes us nowhere. They're just going into a labyrinth of dreams and so on. And it's not taking us anywhere. You understand? Now, for me, the worst thing that has happened so far, you understand, and I have to be honest, it is not only the New Patriotic Party who takes that tangent. The NDC also behaves like that. We have a small disagreement. We don't see eye to eye. And then they run to diplomatic missions. What's wrong with these political leaders that we have in this country? Why? They forgot, or they forget that on 7 December 2024, we lined up to choose a government. We didn't vote for diplomatic missions. So this ran to diplomatic missions. I think diplomatic missions have oversight responsibility over our governance and so on. It's so strange. I don't understand it. Now, again, I'm worried because some of the things that are happening don't make any sense at all. The suspicion is raised. suspicion is raised. The president says, oh, this is a very serious suspicion. We should all get to the bottom of it. So you, the one who has the suspicions, collaborate with the state security agencies to unearth the facts. The president's order was not to arrest Reverend Ntimfori. That was not the order.
Yeah.
The president's order was for him to collaborate. And every citizen has a duty to collaborate with those agencies. It's first and foremost a duty. There's no arrest in it. There's no intimidation in it. It says, come and work with us to find out the basis of your suspicion and whether there may be any substance and so on. Say, I won't go. The response is, I won't go. I won't collaborate. So if you won't go, you won't collaborate, and you're going to keep your suspicions to yourself, how are we ever going to find whether there's a basis for the suspicion or not? I mean, this, Jesus Christ. I mean, look, sitting on your program is very difficult. Because sometimes the decorum which is required, you have to be measured and so on. So you can't actually say what you really want to say. What I really want to say.
Yes. Please don't. I beg you. Please don't.
Oh, Jesus Christ of Nazareth. What is happening? My brother, what is happening? You say you have suspicion. Bring your suspicion. Let us together work to find whether there's a basis for your suspicion or not. Say, I won't go.
He said he spoke on behalf of the minority.
So what?
Not in his individual capacity. So why invite him?
So the suspicion is not even his. That makes it worse.
He's a member of a group.
Yes. So the suspicion is not even his.
Yes.
He cannot work together with anybody to unravel the basis of his suspicion.
Yeah, so invite the entire minority.
It makes it worse.
Why?
Hold on. I'll show you how it makes it worse. It makes it worse. And then there's this shifting positions which worries me. In one breath, I'm speaking on behalf of the minority.
Yes.
Fine. Member of Parliament, entitled to speak on behalf of the minority, there's no problem with that. But in a few hours, the same person who holds a press conference and speaks for the minority is actually speaking for a parliamentary committee. How is that possible? Because the parliamentary committee is made up of majority and minority. Are you speaking for the parliamentary committee or you are speaking for the minority? That clarity itself has not emerged.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
And then this morning, I saw some newspaper headline which says that the accuser is saying that he has solid evidence. Why is that solid evidence? Bring it. And then you see, I also took my time to examine the basis of the suspicion. And my goodness, wow, my brother, this member of parliament is telling us, and you heard him, that he's suspicious. Because an ambulance aircraft flew into Ghana. And that there was no dead body on board. Listen to his words. He said there was no dead body on board the ambulance.
He doesn't understand why.
There was no sick person on the ambulance.
Yes.
There is no indication that there has been a referral from a health facility to Ghana.
Yes.
And therefore, the aircraft must be carrying cocaine.
Contraband goods.
Yes. And so on. You know, my brother, I think we should encourage all our secondary school students to read Bertrand Russell.
Okay.
It will help. I mean, in our days, we were taught logic.
Yeah.
Elementary logics and so on. I think it will help. Especially for people who seek to be leaders and want to be in parliament. Now, are you saying that any time an ambulance moves, there must be a dead body in it?
Not necessarily.
Are you saying that any time you see an ambulance, there must be a sick person on board?
Yeah.
Are you saying that any time you see an ambulance, there must be a referral note? It doesn't make sense. And I'm being very mild. It doesn't make sense. Ambulances are vehicles. They go for repairs. When they are going to the workshop for repairs, they don't carry dead bodies. They don't carry sick people. And there are no referral notes from health institutions. So any ambulance you see, which is not carrying a dead person, or is not carrying a sick person, or doesn't have a referral note, must be engaged in money laundering. What logic is this? My brother, do you get this logic?
No, I get it.
So that's the basis of the suspicion. Now, the state comes, state government, I'm using them interchangeably for good reason, comes and says, yes, one of the vehicles originated this flight from, is it Rwanda or Botswana?
Rwanda. Yes.
Rwanda, Angola.
Yes.
And it came here. This was the cargo on board. In fact, when it came, it was inspected. This is the video of the inspection. And the guy comes up and he says, well, I've seen the video, but I don't believe it.
It's a different aircraft.
So what are we supposed to do? Because he doesn't believe that that is the aircraft which is in the video, the whole country should come to a standstill. Because he doesn't believe. Who is he? He doesn't believe. So we should come to a standstill. And it's incredible. And we are going on, day after day, hour after hour, minute after minute, on this.
It gets tiring.
It's tiring. I am tired. Master, are you not tired?
No.
You're not tired. You must have some incredible stamina. I don't have no stamina. I wish I had no stamina.
No.
What is this?
On your sister show.
What is this?
Good evening,
Can I finish?
Okay.
Okay, let him please.
Okay, you can come in.
Oh no, no, just with a good evening, Ghana.
I can't believe it.
Okay, when he lands, please.
I can't believe it. Where is the evidence? Bring the evidence. You forget evidence. Nobody is asking for evidence. Come with your suspicion. Tell us the basis of your suspicion. Let us all work together to unravel the suspicion. You say, no, I'm not coming because I'm speaking on behalf of the minority. So when you speak on the behalf of the minority, you cannot be asked to substantiate what you're saying. When you speak on behalf of the minority, you cannot be asked to help the state to investigate a criminal matter. Is that what we're being told? Hey, is this Ghana? And then a whole political party. If an individual does this, you can excuse him. All of us have our weaknesses and so on. Some of us, our weakness is grappling with logic. Many of us have that weakness. Some have other weaknesses and so on. So as individuals, we have weaknesses. But a political party which has been in government for 16 years before, a political party to follow this tangent, a political party to follow this rigmarole and so on, it doesn't make sense, my brother.
Obviously, one of the things that he asked for, and he said, if the security agencies commission an investigations into this matter, he'll find it more credible than for the government spokesperson, that's Felehusu Kwachi, to be responding to the issues that he has raised. He finds that a bit worrying because the president himself said there should be a thorough investigation to this matter. There may be some investigation that must be carried on as far as this matter is concerned. And so he's waiting for that investigations. Now he says that if the NIB comes to tell him that they have done their investigations and this is what they have unraveled, he'll believe it. National security, he'll believe it. NACOC, he'll believe it, etc., etc. Now, just yesterday, the Ghana Airport Company Limited, I suspect, in response to that call, then issued a statement. Now, Annie, please, if the statement is ready, can we look at the Ghana Airport. Oh, you have it here. Yes,
but I can read the relevant portion.
Yes, for our viewers who may not have seen the statement, can you please put it up so that we can read it and get our viewers to follow what exactly Ghana Airports Company has said?
The 6th paragraph of the statement issued by the Ghana Airports Company.
Yes.
It's very clear. It says the Ghana Airports Company Limited hereby serves notice that the company would not hesitate to seek legal redress against any media house, individual, or any other entity for any intentional or mischievous publication on Reverend Intim Fojo's false allegations.
Yes.
False allegations and related matters that seek to bring the image of the company, its managing director, or the government into dispute regarding the 2 aircrafts. This is the Ghana Airports Company. This is a statement they issued, I suppose, yesterday.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
Now, he's saying that if he should get a statement from NACOP.
Yes, or even Ghana Airports Company Limited.
Yeah. They have already made a statement.
Yes.
As I was driving here, I was listening to one of the directors of NACOP make a categorical statement that his allegations are false without basis. Is he going to accept it?
Okay.
You understand? Why are we doing this to ourselves? And you see, these allegations have serious consequences for Ghana. These are not allegations you are making against NDC and, it comes to an end. It's an NDC MPP battle. If it's established, or if there's reasonable suspicion that such practices are taking place in Ghana, every Ghanaian citizen will suffer for it.
Yes.
So these are not allegations to be made lightly. To be made so lightly. And this thing about whether Felix Ofosu-Kwakye is the right person to speak or not to speak and so on. Listen to the initial allegation that he made. The initial allegation he made is simply that since this government came into power, Ghana has become a hub for money laundering and narcotics. And the spokesperson of the president is not entitled to speak to this matter. When you attack his government, when you attack the governing party, when you make such serious allegations against them, the spokesperson of the president cannot respond to it. Where is the logic? Where is the convention? Where is the practice?
Has the minority given you any scintilla of evidence or proof that these 2 aircrafts were actually ferrying cocaine and money into Ghana, or actually ferried it into Ghana? Have you seen any evidence or any proof of a sort?
Not from the minority.
Okay. But you've seen it, but not from the minority?
Not from the minority. You asked me whether the minority have.
Okay. But have you seen any proof?
No. I'll get there.
Okay.
So, firstly, we have to look at it from the broader picture.
Okay.
Of drugs in general and West Africa.
Yeah.
I don't want to limit it to Reverend Intim Fojo. I'll get there, but I don't want us to limit it to that. Look at the broader picture and the broader problem. Drugs is one of the biggest cash cows in the world. Drugs is number 1, arms is number 2, alcohol is number 3, tobacco number 4, and prostitution. When you combine the other 4, drugs still tops them. So the quantum of money that is running around in that industry, the illicit industry, it's huge. There's no industry in Ghana that is bigger than that. So, in fact, I would say it's the biggest global industry. It's very, very big because there's inelastic demand for that product, whether be it cocaine or heroin, what we call Class A drugs. They are even alcohol. But alcohol is regulated. And the effect it has on your economy, depending on the way you manage it, is either positive or negative. If you go back into history, in the 1800s, we had what we call the Opium Wars in South Asia. In fact, the trade wars that we were talking about earlier on, the basis of some of the trade wars was opium. Britain wanted to export opium to China. China said, no, you cannot use China as a market. They went to war, defeated China, and they took over Hong Kong. So Hong Kong became a British colony and a hub for opium trade. And that's how come opium came up in that part of the world. So some of the big business companies that you have in Hong Kong today, Jardine Matheson, even the Tartars, they were all opium traders for the British. And they use Hong Kong as their base to sell their opium. And the devastating effect it had on China is etched in China's history till today. West Africa is or has always been a transit for drugs from Southern America to Europe. From the 70s. In the 70s, people were growing weed and other things here, but not cocaine. Then cocaine started coming through here to Europe, mainly. And then later, North America. Look, the US government, with all its might, after 30 years, or 40, in fact, almost 50 years, from the Reagan regime till now, declaring war on drugs till date, has not been able to defeat the war on drugs. So I should tell you that there are interests in there that are even bigger than our state called Ghana. And that is the challenge, and that is the fear, because non-state actors are using it as a means of raising revenue for all the troubles that we are facing in our part of the world. When the war was, when we had these wars in Liberia and Sierra Leone, what was fueling the war? What was fueling the fighting? Drugs. Côte d'Ivoire, same thing. In fact, at that time, Côte d'Ivoire was booming. Ghana was booming because the drugs were passing through our place. And these people, those other countries were suffering. Guinea-Bissau today is the biggest drug hub in West Africa. There are parts of Guinea-Bissau where people have built private airstrips, and private jets come from Europe and from the South America and come there. There are drug organizations in Drangata and the PCC and Co who are stationed in West Africa and in Ghana. If you talk to NACOP, they have all the information. They have all the intelligence. All that my brother is looking for, I said NACOP has it. Everything every evidence that he needs is there. Do drug flights come to Ghana? Yes, drug flights come to Ghana. In the past, they were coming through fishing boats and through the fishing harbor and through the ports, and people do transshipments and stuff like that. But now, they are bold. In 2023, December 2023, 2 flights came to Ghana. In fact, the planes had been declared missing in South America, in St. Vincent and Trinidad. They were missing, and they reappeared in Ghana with traces of cocaine. Those aircraft are still sitting at the...
2023.
Yes, 2023. They are still sitting at the, Air Force Base. 2 of them, Gulfstream jets. So it is not that it's not happening. It is happening. But in all honesty, it is not possible for these transactions to take place without tacit complicity from the state. It's not possible. That's my belief, or my opinion. What is also happening is that in the past, Ghana wasn't a market. People were not consuming it here. Now, 20% stays in Ghana. When you go to my constituency and Tema East, a lot of youth are using drugs. Cocaine, they tie them in small rubbers and you see them selling them. So it is a reality. It is a big problem. And it is going to suck the life out of our youth. The people that are making the money are not nowhere near here. In some of the south, in a place like Guinea-Bissau, the country is completely gone. Terrorist groups in the Sahelian region are known to be funding these transactions. This is how they are funding their wars. This is how they are buying the equipment. So you might be here and might think that, oh, I'm selling 2 kilos and 3 kilos or 4 kilos or 1 bundle or whatever they call it. But you are actually contributing to the conflict that is transpiring in places like Burkina and within our region. In the month of February alone in Ghana, over $450 million worth of cocaine was seized. And this should be a wake-up call for all of us. And that is why I said, I'm of the view that we should have an inquiry into this. It shouldn't be limited to just the allegations being made by Reverend Ntimfojo. No, it should be expanded. We can take a period, or maybe the last 10 years, or the last 8 years, and do a thorough investigation of all the drug-related incidents that have occurred in Ghana. The ones that have been arrested, the ones that the intelligence networks they know that has gone out, the ones that they were able to seize, the ones that we don't know in public. Kenya did that. They did a name and shame. They named politicians, political figures. Unfortunately, the person that did the naming, the interior minister, was killed the next day in a helicopter crash.
Yeah.
And it's obvious that it came from the people that had been exposed. So we really need to take this seriously and nip it in the bud. If we don't want to be tagged a cocaine coast again, we need to nip it in the bud. So I support his call for a broader investigation. I support that, a broader inquiry, so that we get to the base of this matter and get to a situation where we know the people who are involved. It is not possible for these volumes to be passing to our country without our knowledge. No, it's not possible. And I know that.
But Reverend, sorry,
yes.
sir. Intil Forger is not asking for us to investigate the $450 million worth of cocaine which has been seized in different places.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
No, just a second. His issue really has to do with the two aircrafts that have landed.
I'll get there. I'm going to get there.
And his suspicion.
I'm going to get there.
So that is the bone of contention. That's where the issue is.
Before a flight takes off,
yes,
you file your flight plan. You tell the host country or the destination country exactly what you are going there to do.
Yes.
And then you get your permits. Before you take off, you don't take the permits in the air.
Yeah.
You take off before you take off from your base, you know where you are going. These flights came from Gran Canaria to Accra and returned.
Yes.
So the first question is, why did they come to Ghana? What was the purpose of the trip? Was it a pleasure trip? Did they come to pick up a passenger? Did they do a technical stop? Did they whatever it was? If it's a technical stop and there was a passenger on board, the hospital will be notified. The patient should be moved to the hospital. The patient will not be in the plane while the tire is being fixed. No, there will be a hospital that will be notified. The patient will be moved to the hospital. The plane will be fixed and brought back. The doctors that are going to work on him whilst the plane is being fixed will be known. All that will be put in place. It will be there in the flight planning before the plane even takes off from Gran Canaria. So what did the plane come here to do? And that's where from my little conversations I've had with my friends in the industry, there's no smoke without fire. It's possible that the planes were coming here to pick something and go back, but the terrain was not conducive enough for the operation that they wanted to, undertake to take place. So nothing went out. It is possible. So don't let us just brush it under the carpet and say, oh, we've done investigations and there was nothing in the plane and nothing of that nature. No. For me, I think that we should dig deeper. An air-made aircraft will not fly from Spain to Accra just to do technical stops and go back.
Does the explanation by the Ghana Airport Company...
Nobody has given that explanation.
Why did the plane come to Accra?
Felix has explained.
There was one aircraft. I think you should find Felix's statement. There was one aircraft which needed certification in order to enter Europe.
No, that's the Kavok.
That's the Kavok.
That's the Kavok.
Yes.
So that Kavok was coming from Luanda. That's the one we see on the plane.
Yes.
That one is a cargo plane. They come to West Africa all the time. In fact, they do a lot of work in West Africa. I know them. I know
so we have eliminated one.
So that is not that
so
one.
we have eliminated one. So now we are
I'm left with the air-made one. Okay. For me, if there's any suspicion, it's with the air-made one, because the air-made supposedly came here to do a technical stop and went back. How do you come here to do a technical stop and go back? Why did you come here in the first place? Did you come here to do the technical stop, or you came here with a passenger, or you were on route from here to...
There was no passenger on board.
Yes, so...
What we are told is that in flight, it developed a tie burst. Am I
yes,
right?
That's what Felix said. Yes.
So that can happen anywhere. It's normal. It happens.
No, it's not true.
Why is it not true?
I have a private pilot's license. I also fly.
Oh,
you fly? Yes.
But I also fly, not in the cockpit, but I fly. And I've been in an aircraft.
Yes.
I've been in an aircraft. A few minutes to the Accra International Airport, where the tie caught fire.
It's possible.
And we have to land.
Yes, but if you say that it burst in the air, so there are two things. It's either when...
I didn't say that it burst in the air. I said it developed a fault
on the tire in the flight. Yes. So there are two things. When it was taken off, it could have burst the tire. But you will not fly all the way to Accra to come and fix it. You turn back and go to Gran Canaria and get it fixed. I mean, you don't have to come all the way to Accra to come and fix it. That's number one. Number two, if it's a medical flight, just as I said, before you file the flight plan, all these details must be there and approved. So it raises a big question mark. That's one I have to be honest with you. It raises a big question mark. Why did the plane come here in the first place? Was it en route to somewhere else?
Your question
decided that
your question mark is based on an assumption that a plane in mid-air cannot develop a fault. And I'm surprised that is coming from a pilot.
It can develop a fault, but that's what I'm saying. If the tire bursts
and if
on
a
takeoff,
plane,
see when the tire enters the cavity, it can't burst there. It either burst on the...
It can suffer decompression.
Yes, but it says...
It can suffer decompression.
It was burst. That's what I said it was. I've seen the pictures that they showed around. It was torn. It was completely torn and the rim was there. You could see the rim.
That could have been you're a pilot,
yes.
so let's talk technical now.
That's fine.
That could be the impact on landing in Accra. That's possible.
No, you said that they developed the fault.
I'm coming.
It's based on what the statement you made.
Can I finish? Then you can respond to it. If you are flying an aircraft, and you are speaking
from a technical perspective, yes.
Technical perspective.
I have my...
No problem. And you suffer decompression, for example. On landing, it's possible to get the tire torn.
Yes.
From the decompression
yes.
zone. So as a technical person, you should know that. Okay?
Yes.
So it is not a case, the only scenario cannot be tire burst on takeoff. You can suffer decompression whilst in the air, and on landing, the tire can disintegrate as a result of the decompression. It happens.
It happens.
Fine, I'm happy.
So, but you see, the other side of what Tifojo was talking about, that I listened to him on Metro TV on Good Evening Ghana, was that the aircraft that was purported to have been repaired here, that repairs didn't take place here.
But Felix has shown us evidence of the repairs.
You saw pictures of people repairing the plane.
No, in fact, he had an interview on another platform where he showed us evidence of the report of the repairs.
Based on what Tifojo has said,
yes,
or what
by what they call a Swiss spot or something.
Swiss spot, yes.
Yes.
So based on what Tifojo has said, on the air-made one, I still have my suspicions that it came to do a job, the job was not done, and had to go back, whichever way. If the tires burst here, we will know from the maintenance log. You can just request for the maintenance log, and the maintenance log will show us whether really and truly that was what transpired. Because that's the basic record you can get. So, for me, I don't want to limit it to the aircraft, because it's a big social problem for Ghana. You would have, it's destroying our communities and destroying our youth. Let us expand it into an inquiry. A proper
you don't
inquiry.
Agree with those who say...
Can I do something very small?
That's
very
fine.
Small.
That's fine.
Honorable.
Yes, my senior.
See, you and I are both wearing rings.
Yes.
At least they look like gold, don't they?
Yes, they do.
They look like gold, you and I. And we do know that we have a problem with Galamsey, illegal gold mining in Ghana. Okay. So there's a problem with gold in Ghana. Huge problem with gold. It's destroying our agriculture, has destroyed the cocoa industry, polluting our waters, and so on and so forth. Is it reasonable for somebody to look at the two of us on this show? Say, what? These two gentlemen are wearing rings that look like gold. Therefore, they must be Galamsey operators.
No.
Is that kind of suspicion something that you will countenance?
No.
Now, if you would not countenance this kind of suspicion, why you countenance the other kind of suspicion, which is basically the same?
No, so...
Then look, we have a drug problem in Ghana and West Africa, and it is possible that aircrafts, fly in the drugs. Well, we've seen an aircraft in Ghana. There was no dead body on board. There was no injured person on board. And therefore, it is reasonable to suspect that it carried cocaine.
The airmade
it's the same thing, isn't it?
The airmade aircraft that came in.
So, look, suspicion is not a sufficient basis for going on this rigmarole. It is not. And you should admit that.
The airmade aircraft couldn't have come with drugs from Europe. Because the market is not West Africa. The market is there. If it came for whatever it's supposed to have come, the suspicion, most probably it came to pick it from here. Because here is a transit point. Whether it's going through the ports, through containers, or it's going by air, it's a transit point. So most probably came to pick up whatever cargo we wanted to come and pick up and go. The one I spoke about, the one that happened in 2023, the people, the one the place was swiped, there was someone who have had traces of cocaine. The place, the pilots landed, left the place on the tarmac, boarded an commercial flight that same evening, and they were out of this country. And it's not possible that all these things took place without, complicity. It's not possible.
No, but
so,
you see,
all I just want to drive at is that the air-made aircraft that came to sit here for 5 days should tell us why they came to sit here for 5 days.
Okay. Honorable, you have said, your own words, that what occurred in 2023, the aircrafts have been seized. They are still here. Yes. You said that.
Yes.
So, where is the complicity there? The aircrafts came. They were tested. Traces of cocaine were found. The Ghanaian authorities actually seized the aircrafts. And according to you, the aircrafts are still here. And the pilots had to run and fly out of commercial. Where's the complicity? You understand? So what you are saying actually confirms that when these aircrafts come, it is routine to test them for illicit substances.
Now this planes had been declared missing.
Agreed.
And they reappeared in Accra.
The claim is that it is not normal practice to test them for illicit substances. And therefore, the videos we are seeing may have been staged. Now, you are saying
depending on the place the plane is coming from.
No problem. But you are saying that in 2023, and mark the date, 2023.
Oh, 23rd December 2023 and 25th December 2023.
Thank you very much. 23rd December 2023. Aircrafts landed here. The Mahama administration was not in power. Fariso Fosukwachi was not spokesperson for president. So, 23rd December 2023. They were subjected to test, to examination for illicit drugs. Doesn't that suggest to you that it is regular and normal?
No.
And that it is not strange that the planes that landed now that we are talking about were also subjected to the same test?
No, those planes that came were subject of planes that were missing. They were declared missing. They switched off their transponder and everything. Nobody could trace them. So there was a search party looking for them. And they reappeared in Accra. So once it had reappeared in Accra, from those source countries, there was a need for verification.
Our time unfortunately is up. So let me
bring
in our viewers.
Kind of verification.
Yes, let me bring in our viewers with just a couple of messages. So this one, Ebo Bakman is back. His strategy. He says there's absolutely no basis for establishing a commission of inquiry solely on the grounds of someone's suspicion. It's a waste of everybody's time. If we were to go down that road, how many more suspicions would we need to investigate with commissions of inquiry? In any serious country, Tim Fojo would have been made to face the full rigors of the law for making such a claim. It is a fundamental principle of justice that he who alleges must provide proof, not the other way around. Musa Abatwa in Asawasi says, good morning. Reverend Tim Fojo has absolutely no evidence to support his claim. It is merely spreading false information to incite fear and panic. This kind of behavior is not only bad, but also unlawful under our criminal justice system. Parliamentary immunity should not shield anyone from accountability when they violate the law. If Ghana were a country where the law was truly impartial, he would have already been behind bars. He should be arrested for this allegation. This one here says, Moro, I am wondering why Reverend Tim Fojo doesn't believe that the facts put up by Honorable Felix Ofosu-Kwakye did not have input from the security agencies. It is his understanding that the government communicator will be communicating to the whole country in vacuum. I think we expect better oversight responsibility from him as a parliamentarian. Sam Kelly from East Legon Hills. And this one, briefly, Alassane Mesuna from Tema says, the so-called Reverend Tim must be arrested to substantiate his drugs and money laundering allegations against the GACL and publication of untruth about the state of Ghana. I think the Speaker of Parliament must immediately grant the NIB the request for him to be arrested and questioned. In the first place, Reverend Tim Fojo came out to say he was speaking on behalf of the Defense and Interior Committee, which was not true. He quickly held a presser to say he was speaking on behalf of NPP caucus. Now he's running to the diplomatic mission for what? He must be arrested. It's as simple as that. McLean finally says it's very worrying to see how this cocaine situation has the potential to betray or damage our reputation both domestically and internationally as a country. The sudden discomfort from the NDC in addressing this issue raises concerns about their motivation in trying to downplay its significance. That said, the remarks made by the government spokesperson to openly denigrate the reputation of Reverend Tim Fordjour is deeply disturbing. The arrogance displayed and the insults directed towards his persona, are not only disrespectful, but also distract from the seriousness of this scandalous issue. That's McLean Desmond from Seshi. And finally, so Kwabena Sapon, I'm sure you know him, he's a founding member of the NPP. He sends this message and he says, please ask Kwesi Pratt, is Ghana not charging taxes on imports from USA? As much as I'm not happy about the taxes on our exports to the US, what is bad about it? We tax them now. What a lot of people don't know is that most imports to the US do not attract taxes. Trump wants to change that. Tax me, I tax you, period. All right. Kamaluddin says the fact that Honorable Felix Kwache and Sami Jefi.
Who said that text message?
Kwabena Sapon.
He actually said
he said this, yeah. Making the assertion the government's interest is to make an example of Honorable Tim Fordjour clearly means that the government is hiding something from the citizenry and thereby using threats to shut the Honorable Member of Parliament. Why is the government spokesperson trying to defend armed Ahmed even before the said investigations authorized by the President begins? This government must come clean on this issue before Ghana is labelled as a hub, as a drug hub. All right, so there have been, so Niyama says, if the man is saying the market is out there, not in Ghana, and based on that, there is no way the aircraft brought in cocaine, but they came in to lift it from here. Now, this is what Tim said. There's no record of a medical referral, nor was any patient accompanied on board the flight. Instead, we are reliably informed that the air ambulance, which is specifically designed to transport patients, carried suspicious cargo suspected to be cocaine and cash in various US denominations. You want him to respond. Nia, unfortunately, our time is up, but it's a very important question. Kofi Musapenyi says, it is unclear to me and most Ghanaians that he wanted Honorable to respond to that question. It is now clear to me and most Ghanaians that during the 8 years administration, Ahmed was using to do exactly what the NPP are accusing NDC administration for. Kofi Musapenyi sends that message. Anyway, so this is what we end today's edition of Good Morning Ghana. I want to thank Mr. Kwesi Pratt Jr., managing editor of the Insight newspaper, and also Yves Hansen Norte, former Tema Central MP. Thank you very much for watching Good Morning Ghana. Same time tomorrow, 7:30 we'll be here. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Metro TV presents a new dating reality show.
Tell me, what's the favorite part of my body? Can you